Is it nostalgia or is there a golden era secret? They had it right. Arnold, Menser, Lebret, every single bodybuilder from the late 60s to the 80s showed something that today's bodybuilders certainly lack. In today's video, we will cover the secrets to their godly aesthetic. Sit down, put the video on full screen and enjoy. It seems that no matter what classic physique division do, it never is quite the same as before. In French, we have a saying, "C'était mieux avant," which literally translates to "things were better before." And many fans of bodybuilding agree with it. The golden era, ranging from the late 60s to the 80s to this day, is still considered the absolute golden age of the sport. Every athlete looks strong, glowy, healthy, full of vitality and life. Everyone has a different physique, presenting things a bit different with a unique identities and even training style. Despite decades of better engineering equipment, supplement, science-applied studies for every aspect needed to properly build muscle, it seems we just can't replicate the same thing anymore. So what made their physique so special, and why do today's bodybuilder, even in the classic physique, look different? In this video, I will break down exactly what made those golden era physiques so unique, and most importantly, show you how to apply those principles to achieve that classic look yourself. Let's go. With golden era athletes, it all starts with the chest. The best trademark and most noteworthy thing is that their chest look absolutely comic-worthy and stand out from every area by the sheer mass and balance achieved. Focusing heavily on it and learning how to pose both made it the center of general attention, overshadowing many other aspects, as we see plenty of top-level athletes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Serge Nubret, or Liani in the competition that showed a huge focus on it. This is perhaps the most visual element difference, because nowadays it seems that the shoulders are the focus, and that is a mistake. Because of different training and the need to maximize every muscle group, shoulder get as, if not bigger, than the chest. Furthermore, the use of PEDs in different or increased dosage makes them pop even more, since it is a huge and very concentrated area in androgen receptors. What's end up happening is a smaller looking chest and a thrown out balance of proportion. Golden era athletes made sure to have a wide and developed shoulder, sure, but the wide gladiator armor-like chest was the #1 muscle to get. If you disagree about chest not being the trademark of golden era bodybuilder, but definitely the arm wear. Absolutely massive arm and even forearm either completely overpowered the rest of the body, or they were around the same level of development as the torso, and this was the case for every single one of the top level crew. If we talk about Arnold's again, his arm were the literal pride and prize over time, sitting next to what was considered the best chest and back in bodybuilding history. Now, when you compare golden age arms to modern day classic physique competitor, the comparison isn't even close, as the average golden era body would easily outclass the arm of the actual top level crew. Serge Nubret, Gunnar Rosbo, Freddie Ortiz would obliterate the contenders of our current time. As said earlier, not just the arm, but also the forearm were also huge focus to have overall arm look and be bigger. Not every athlete who trains them constantly, but all the ones who did made sure it was quite visible. Nowadays, it doesn't seem to even get judged, which is a huge shame, as a smaller forearm throw out completely the solid and logic aspect of a trained body. The only modern guy with serious forearm is Ramon. The others are either decent or lackluster, when in the 70s, everyone had at worst good ones and at best freaky guns. As introduced earlier with chest, having massive arm and chest was a trademark for the front of a golden era athlete body, while delt needed to be slightly weaker. This way, it would make the arm and the chest look proportionally bigger and even give a very strong and solid appearance, very rugged for the upper body, while still showcasing a good V-taper. Nowadays, the shoulder development is much more accentuated, but what ends up happening is smaller looking arm and chest, proportion blew out of the water, and a harder time to actually draw the eyes to the key area you want to look at. Indeed, with shoulders too big, the overall flow is off, as the lines are not as natural or expected. You have balloon-like cannonball delt who ties in with thick chest and big arms, but the roundness and the proportion makes it so that the arm never truly stand out and look big. Again here, the only real modern exception we got is Ramon, and possibly maybe Brion. Looking at the golden era deltoids, the lateral delt was most developed, while the front was quite solid, obviously with all the presses they would do to achieve a proper mass building for chest and width, while the rear delt would be kinda lackluster. But with that, it would highlight even more the chest and arm, as said and explained above. From the front, you would look at the chest and the biceps, and from the side, you would look at the arm and how far back the triceps pop compared to the trunk. One argument some could have and think is that it's mainly an enhanced athlete problem, because naturals won't have that issue. Indeed, we just saw that the shoulder gets too big and throw the balance off because of the use of steroids and their effect on the androgen receptors. The thing is, we can also see plenty of natural athletes with humongous delt who arrived at the same problem. Yours truly, for example, which is something I'm currently fixing, but also Alexander Leonidas when he was focusing solely on the natural enhanced physique, or with Philippe Gervais, who, like me, is fixing it. Although the golden era saw humongous and very developed back with the likes of Franco Columbu or Samir Benut, every athlete had a good back without it being a main focus. Indeed, it was here to highlight the arm and balance out the chest, not be a standalone part. Just like for the delt, the focus was on width, so lats and teres major were big, but traps too were quite developed. The main difference with nowadays is the fact not much powerlift are actually pulled heavy, for specific and logistical reasons. The first reason being is that they didn't have access to great machine with chest support, so every row had to be with a low back engagement, whatever if dumbbell, barbell or cable. Speaking of cable, they had pull-down station and greatly used them, but the stack weight weren't that heavy compared to the standardization we have today, with stacks that are as low as 110 kg and as high as 160 kg. Finally, straps weren't invented yet, so they had to grip the weight each time, and forearm were then a limiting factor, but also the central nervous system fatigue, as holding heavy weight in your hand is one of the most exhausting things you can do nerve-wise, since you are basically shooting as far away you possibly can those heart waves. This is why you are rarely see them row more than 3 plates, and this is why they privilege high volume. If a weight stack is stuck as, let's say, 90 kg or 200 pounds, the only way for you to accumulate fatigue is to do 5 sets of 12 reps. And if you can grip heavy barbell without breaking your hand and grip on fatiguing too much your arm from all the room you're already putting on them, you will keep the weight at a manageable 80 to 100 kg, and you will make it with volume, low rest, huge range of motion, and harder position. All in all, they had a great back, but the mid area was less developed, while the lats and upper traps were quite massive. Another region that was often lacking for most of the posterior chain, and this is probably the biggest difference with the delt or the whole body, is a clear lack of erectors, glute, and hamstring development compared to modern athletes. As high volume and as high frequency was the rule, not much would deadlift, as it would greatly hinder the recovery and performance on rows and squat. At the time, leg curl didn't or barely started to exist on, let's say, WACAS machines. That was most often a lying leg curl with cylinder and an axis at the end of a flat bench that would be wobbly and unsafe. The fact of the matter is that golden era athlete had V-frame and an emphasis on the torso, while modern athletes really put a maximum amount of mass through everything, legs included. But you know what else was different? The clothes. And I have just the perfect solution for all the nostalgic and retro era fans with my new sponsor, RetroMuscle. French-made clothing line in a high-quality cotton with some stretch fabrics for all the muscular and jacket gents you will be able to finally dress like an action movie star of the 80s while also looking like you just exited Venice Beach Gold's Gym. Flamboyant and strong color, worked lines, classic fit, and the ability to both look stylish and fit. Give your mail to get a welcome 10% code and stack it up with my new code HERSO10 for another 10% off. Thank you. Okay, where were we? Oh yes. Speaking of legs, golden era champs, especially Arnold and Frank Zane, were criticized in recent years for skinny legs. The thing is that we will now talk about the most different aspect between golden and modern athletes, and that is primarily the legs. You see, golden era lifters wanted a torso emphasis, even upper AV shape, while modern ones need a X frame, with everything maxed out. Where 70s athletes would build thick quad with some hamstring and little amount of adductors and glutes, modern ones max everything to the biggest they can. Quad hip look photoshopped, proportions are totally offset and most end up with a bottom heavy look, where arms and chest looks tiny compared to the thighs. Is it good or bad? You judge. But it was something that was desired for golden era athletes to have legs that complemented the physique, not make or break it. This all changed, of course, when top lats came in with what the world considered to this day still the most impressive pair of legs we have and had the chance to witness. And even still, the problem isn't really with the quads mass. No, the guilty one is slightly more sneaky. The main problem with the beefy and turnip-shaped look of modern legs is the huge mass of adductors. Despite not being a difficult muscle to target, it wasn't before the 90s that we started to see huge rays of machine capable of targeting it good, and a real need to obtain the biggest thighs they could. Bodybuilders purposefully added isolation work for it and upped the leg volume with more squat, deadlift, and lung variation, resulting in an increased mass overall and especially of this muscle. Does it look impressive? Yes. Does this make a whole leg look better? Debatable. Is it something that diverged from the 60s and 80s decades? Totally. Furthermore, the issue with the ever-growing legs also come down to balance with possibly the most overlooked muscle nowadays, the calves. Check golden era athletes, and every single one of them had almost matching the width of the quad, and because you need to have that symmetry, as ancient sculptors remarked, then in Jinsendo, and then Steve Reeves, and even later on Arnold, said that your calves should always be about the same size as your biceps, and supposedly also your neck. So I like the forearm. Calves are not important for more than judging criteria, but that is not the only reason why they look so puny compared to the upper leg. It is simply due to the fact that said upper leg just being too damn big, which completely dwarf the calves, makes them look even smaller than they actually are due to the totally out of proportion adductors and hamstring. Bumstead is one and maybe the only one who brought very thick and developed calves that didn't look too bad or too little in any angle. But since many others don't present the same thing and still place high, we can conclude judges do not care, and that is damn shame. A major underestimated factor in achieving the golden look is also maintaining a slightly higher body fat percentage. Yes, the older guys were lean, but not the same extreme level we see today with competitors are shredded down to sub 5% body fat with pepper thin, thick skin and a zero water retention, which is making a huge difference in appearance. A bit more body fat gives the physique a healthier and more natural look, while adding muscle fullness, especially in areas like the chest. And the same thing stands true in natural competition nowadays, where the pre-show physique looks much fuller and more aesthetically pleasing compared to the overly depleted stage-ready look. Not only that, but the natural process of tanning your body, taking care of your skin quality, nourishing it with good soap and almond oil made a day and night difference. Nowadays, they can come on stage with 10 teenager acne spots worth on their back alone and just spray 4 times full body tan, and that's that. As a coach, a competitor, and a hair longevity enthusiast, and also an ex-model, I can tell you that taking care of your skin and cosmetic aspect do matters, and even more so for a show. Okay, so all of that is pretty cool, but now the big question is the golden era standard even achievable for naturals? For the size, let's be real, no. For the proportion, yes, absolutely. Just check the silver era of bodybuilding, where steroids weren't even a thing yet, and they are basically smaller version of it. So, to synthesize, prioritize chest compared to your delts, have a huge arm focus, and also the forearm most likely necessary for most of you. Your back focus should be split even between the width and the thickness. You should prioritize your quads compared to the posterior chain. You should obliterate your calves, and you should prioritize a V body frame instead of a X body frame. Thank you for watching. If you need a coach, a trainer, or anything regarding training, let me know and check my services. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.